All right. Well, I have probably a bunch of different titles for this, so we'll just kind of go with whatever you guys want think. But what's been hitting my heart is, where's our focus, or where's your focus? The the basis of what I thought about this after my first sermon was Jesus walking on the water and Peter, but we'll get to that a little bit later, I hope. But I believe there's two paths to speak of, or there's only two paths to speak, two ways that we can focus in this life. We can focus on the ways of the world, or we can focus on Jesus. The ways of the world, I can guarantee you, because I've walked in them, is a lot. It's a lot worse than walking with Jesus, walking with God. So I guess when we think about the ways of the world here, we really got to know who is the God of this world. So in 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is in the image of God, shine unto them. So to get back to the God of this world, well, we got to go back to the beginning. So we were created in God's image. This earth was for us. We were supposed to have dominion over it. We were supposed to rule it, reign it. There was not supposed to be any sickness, disease, any poverty, life struggles, or any of that. But when Satan came down here and deceived Eve, first off, that's when she ate of the fruit, and then Adam ate of the fruit. That's where it all went wrong. That's when we gave the keys of this earth to Satan. And that's where birth of sickness, disease, poverty, anything bad in this world came from him. Anything good that is in this world is supposed to be of God, and everything bad is from Satan. Just a pure, simple fact. So, going back to we were created in God's image. So, in actuality, we were supposed to be the little g gods of this world. Not Satan was not supposed to be the god of this world. We were supposed to be. Wait, I'm way off base again. So we already kind of covered that. So so going back to, I guess the big thing we have had in leadership, Pastor Larry's been talking about it a lot, is testimonies. And I guess I can go back and talk about my testimony a little bit. So I grew up in a small town, Montana, Ritchie, Montana. I've kind of had a lot of misdirection as a young child. I did grow up in several foster homes before I was landed with my real dad in Ritchie. And so I had a lot of confusion in my young life, but I did meet the Lord. There was a camp that was 20 miles out of town, EMBC, and that's where I probably gave my heart to the Lord. Can't remember, there's a lot of people out there who's like, oh, I gave my heart to the Lord, this date, this year, and that was it. Well, I think I was in junior high. That's about all I really remember was I was in junior high, I think. Anyways, so I believed and I confessed and I accepted him as Lord, but nobody told me, there's more to it than that. There is getting into the Word and reading the Bible, walking things out, in a relationship with Jesus. That was all news to me. So kind of fast forward, went through high school. I was kind of an athlete. Sports was everything to me. I was not a very good student. The only reason why I got through high school was because of sports. So I actually got a track scholarship to go to Jamestown, North Dakota to run track. And I was excited. I was like, man, I'm going to be the first one out of our family that's going to graduate from college. I'm going to have I'm going to be a track athlete, and things are good, So I got to school. I went to my first track practice. My coach, he looks at me. I had never met my coach. We were always talking over the phone. I met my coach, and he looks at me, and he goes like, man, you're a big kid. What are you talking about? Then I turned around and looked at the other 12 hurdlers behind me, which were 6'4", 140 pounds, bean poles, But anyways, this is where I guess I kind of lost everything, is because there was probably, like I said, 14 of us running for maybe 6 spots on the team. So my athletic career kind of just got knocked out from underneath me. I had no goals in life and stuff like that. So that's when I probably decided to start walking in the ways of the world even more. And not that I didn't love Jesus, not that I didn't trust God, but I just everybody else is doing this, so this looks like fun. So I did that. And so, yeah, I became a smoker, a drinker. I indulged in the lust of the flesh and lived life like that for quite a while. And honestly, I lived a life like that up to the point I actually walked through these doors. And like I said, it's not that I didn't believe and didn't know him, or well, I didn't know him really, but I didn't turn my back on him. I just went the ways of the world, and tell you the truth, I got in some trouble with the law, and I've never been in trouble. I always ran from trouble. I was always not the one that did it, and so I got in trouble with the law, and that's when I think God started working on me. I quit drinking for at least 6 months. Decided I was going to start working out, getting back in shape. And then one morning, I kind of back up the story a little bit. I mean, the first time I stepped a foot in a Breakforth Bible Church was in Glendive, Montana. I was working in Glendive at the time for the county. Went to a funeral there for one of our coworkers. One of his dad passed away, and I walked into that church and I'm like, wow, this is a cool church. This is not what I'm used to. This is a little different. So fast forward again, I got to here, and I drove by this building, and I'm like, oh man, they got a Breakforth Bible Church here? I'm going to go to church there someday. And I kept driving by, and each time in my heart said, you're going to church there. You're going to church there. But I kept driving by. So I think I was here for, probably 4 years, and drove by here and said, in my heart, said, you're going to church there. And I finally did make up the courage and came in and walked through the doors, and was completely blown away. The welcoming atmosphere we have in this church is unbelievable. So wasn't going to go down this road, but hey, we'll just keep on going that way. So, so like David said here, I kept on coming to church. I knew one of the guys that was working on was on the worship team. He was actually one of my high school teachers and track coach. So that even made it even better. So as that went on, they needed help in the sound booth. And Jeff, he's like, you like music? You know, maybe give it a shot. Okay. So I gave it a shot. And now, fast forward, I'm kind of leading that department up here for Dickinson. So it's funny. So, like I said, I've walked in the ways of the world, but I can guarantee you right now, walking the ways of God and walking with Him is so much better. Keeping my focus on Him, which I need to work on more. So this message could be more for me than anybody out there, but you know, like I said, what comes to mind? So I changed it. I started walking the ways, and I've seen the benefits of walking with Him. I did start kind of trying to tithe the 10%, and God is so amazing, but it's not the way you think it will be. I was noticing that I didn't get no extra checks in the mail or whatever, like everybody says that you would get, but I did notice that I got more hours at work. And then my checks got bigger at work. And that's the faithfulness of God, I believe, you know. But when we lose our focus on Him, that's when things go bad, okay? So I guess we're going to jump right into what I was thinking about. So I had a vision a while back after the first time I spoke, and it was the story of Jesus walking on the water. And it says in the, let's see, let's go there. I gotta remember which one it is. Matthew. Where's Matthew? Bear with me here. So Matthew 14, and then we're going to start in verse 22. And when he sent the multitudes away, he went out and went up into the mountain apart to pray. And when evening came, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with the waves, for the wind's head was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled. It is a spirit, they cried out of fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if thou bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind and when the wind was boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink, and he cried out to the Lord, Save me. Immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt? I'm going to stop there. So what I was seeing in my mind is, you know, we always got the story is like, okay, Peter got out of the boat, he walked 3 or 4 feet, and he looks at it and the winds, waves and stuff. Oh no, I'm in trouble. And Jesus was right there, all of a sudden right there. Well, what I envision, it says here they thought he was a spirit, it was a ghost, right? So, if you ever been in a stormy day or whatever and stuff like that, you know, it's gray out and stuff like that. So I envision that Jesus was not 5 feet away, 10 feet away. He was 20 feet or more. You know, he was just it looked like an image out there. And I see Peter getting out of the boat, and he's starting to walk toward Jesus. And he's almost to Jesus. He's walking, he's keeping focus on Jesus. And then all of a sudden, he realizes, hey, I'm way out here. And he looks around, and the waves and the wind, they're beating on him. And then he turns around and he looks back at the boat. He's like, oh, that's my safety. Uh-oh. And he starts to sink. Well, if anybody has ever been swimming or anything like that, you don't just start to sink when you get in the water. You sink, okay? So he's just starting to sink. I envision he's only a few feet in front of the Lord. And he reaches down and grabs him, and they walk all that distance back, right? And then they get in the boat. Well, the way it brought to me is like, when we walk with Jesus, the winds and the waves is our anxieties, our worries, our troubles, all that. That's the world. That's the living life in the world there. But when we're walking with Jesus, everything could be going chaos around us, and we can be at peace and calm. We're walking on water. We're walking with the Lord. I just think that's interesting. But I also find it interesting was why there's so many out there right now that want to walk in the winds and the waves, in the worries and the doubts, in the anxieties, and not look towards the Lord. What are you giving up? Yeah, I've heard Pastor Larry say this, and I can agree with him before. Sometimes, sin might be fun for a little bit, or a season, but then there's always consequences. It always catches up with you. That's when the winds and the waves, and you're going to sink. You're going to be drowning without him. And so I was watching, kind of going fast forward here. A good friend of mine, Will, he turned me on to this movie called The Shack. I don't know if anybody's seen it before. But there is a scene in there where the character that's playing Mac, him and Jesus are supposed to go across the lake. And he was supposed to, I think, go see Judgment or something. It was whatever. But Jesus says to him, he's like, just wait. I got some things to do. Well, Mac gets in the boat, and he starts going across the water. He gets about halfway through it, and then he hears the voice of his deceased daughter. And he panics. And then the waves start picking up, the water turns black, the boat starts cracking up and stuff like that. And he's freaking out, and he's looking all over in the water. He's just frantic. And then all of a sudden, Jesus walks up there and says, Mac, look at me. Mac's looking all over the water and stuff like that. Mac, look at me. Again, he's looking around, the boat's breaking up, he's freaking out. And he says one more time, Mac, look at me. And he looks at Jesus. And then he looks around. The boat's all fine. Water's calm. And Jesus is standing on the water right next to him. Again, it's just like the story with Peter in the boat, or Peter walking on the water. They get out of the boat. They walk across the water. Later on, Mac is deciding he's going to go back across the lake, and he says he's walking in the lake. He walks into the water. And Jesus is sitting there. And he says, it's best that we do this together. So, life is going to be a lot better, a lot easier if we walk with Jesus. Are we not going to have problems? Are we not going to have troubles? No. He said it in the Word that we will have trials and tribulations. But be of good cheer because he's overcome the world. So, we don't have to do it alone. But in our typical way that we want to think it is, and just think of like a little kid. I'll do it myself. Okay. We cry out to him, and he helps us, and we like, all right, we're gonna walk together. Things is good, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know what? I got this. Just hang out. I'll be back. I got this. And all of a sudden we get it way over our heads. we're drowning, we're reaching out, we cry out, and who's there? He picks us right back up. He gets us out of that mess again. But then we didn't learn. We do it again. And again, and again, and again. But isn't it so cool that we have a loving God? He don't care. As long as we come back to him, he's there for us every time. I hear a lot of people say this all the time, and there's been some non-believers at our work we've been kind of working on and trying to see if we can help out, but they keep on thinking that they know better than us, so whatever, Anyways, I just kind of lost my train of thought on that one, but anyways. Every time you go back, God is there every time you go back. Oh. Yeah, every time, so, yeah, thank you. Thank you. So there's a lot of people out there that's like, well, if he's a good and loving God, why does he let this happen, this happen, or this happen, Well, what were you doing when this happened, and that happened, and that happened? Were you walking in the way you want to walk, the ways of this world, or did you want to walk with him? Well, how come he didn't save me? Or, I hear this one a lot, and it's a shame. Why does sickness and disease come on children and stuff like that? Because we got an enemy. There's an enemy out there. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that just, I don't know if they don't know or they refuse to know, but there's an enemy out there. And he's going to kill us. John 10:10, what is it? Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But let me get there and read it right. But I have come that they might have life, and they might have life more abundantly. I want to have my life more abundantly. Satan, and like I said, Satan, he don't care who it is. He don't care who you are. I was thinking about this morning too, April Fool's Day. Well, who's the biggest fool out there? Satan. It is, yeah, it's his day, yeah. There you go. This is kind of a day of lies and deceit and just for a joke, but, some of that stuff is not a joke. Life is not a joke. So, but getting back to it, like I said, there's, Satan, if we walk in the ways of the world, that's what we're going to reap. It's like the sower and the seed, and you reap what you harvest. I mean, if we live our life the way the world does it, and the way Satan's the God of this world wants us to live it, we are going to die. We are going to get sick. We are going to be poor. I find it very hard, but sometimes I slip back into the world too myself. But I find it hard to believe, why do we want to live that way? And I know a lot of you in here probably know that, but maybe the people on the internet who's watching right now, why do we want to live that way? I mean, well, it's hard to walk with Jesus. No, it's not. Do it together with him. Don't do it on your own. And I actually needed to hear that one too myself, but spending a little time in the Word. I think, and I'm just guessing, but a lot of homes, and especially in this country, has got one of these Bibles sitting there, and it's just sitting there, And there's a relationship right there if people just reach out and take it and grab it, Like I said, I need to hear this too, because sometimes I don't get in there and read it as much as I should. But, God is faithful. He's good. Uh, you know, just walking, like I said, just where's our focus at? You know, I don't know if like I said, I'm so far off base right now. I'm just going to keep going, rolling with it. Um, and it's cool, it's cool. I guess I get to share my heart just before Resurrection Sunday when Jesus paid for it all for us. It's a huge day, That day is for everybody. And some people think it's just for some. No, it's not for some. It was for everybody. Satan didn't create, hell wasn't created for us. Heaven was. This earth was created for us. Hell is for Satan and his angels, the ones that, turned their back and said they were going to be better than God. It wasn't meant for us. Well, why does God send us to hell? God doesn't send us to hell. We send ourselves to hell. It's a choice. So like I said, this sermon you could you can name it on whatever you want, but there's a choice in it, in that path. It's a choice to accept Jesus and live life knowing that your eternity will be in paradise, or your eternity is going to be in torment. It's that simple. There's no gray. There's no. It's that's just that way. You either choose to have eternity with Him, or have it with the Lord, or choose to have eternity with Satan. It's a choice. That's like walking in this world. You have a choice. You can live life by yourself or whatever you want to do, but you're going to have consequences with that. Like it says, you reap what you sow. And I've heard a lot of non-believers use that same scripture, same word. You reap what you sow. Well, maybe you should take a second there and really find out what that means. I choose life. I choose life, and like it says here, life more abundantly. We can have heaven right here on the earth if we choose it. If we follow Him and walk with Him, we can have it. We don't have to wait. Well, there's so many rules and regulations. No, there's not. Just follow His word. That's it. Well, I like to do this, I like to do that. Well, either like to do that or live life to the fullest. It's up to you. It's your choice. Just hoping that this strikes a chord with somebody that's struggling with that, because I don't want to see anybody go to hell. I want to see y'all in heaven. And this is being up here is a little nerve-wracking, but I don't know why it seems to me it's a little bit easier than actually talking to a person face to face. I don't know why. Maybe it's getting over your fear. God didn't give us a spirit of fear anyway, so anyways, I guess that's kind of what I've been thinking about, and the way I was looking at that. I just encourage you guys, make a good choice. Choose Him. If you're hurting, if you're suffering with things, it's an easy answer. You're not, You might get a miracle right away. You might not. But your miracle's coming. You just got to walk with him, you know. You tired of being sick and tired? Cry out to him. Ask him, come help me. He's never gone anywhere. He's walking with you. Actually, I got another story right there, too. When I was walking in the ways of the world, I believe the Holy Spirit was with me the whole entire time, even though I didn't even know it. So, several years ago, it was a long time ago actually, but I'm just going to say a buddy of mine, and they were all going in a circle to a dance at the bar. There was 4 of them in a car, and they called me up, hey, why don't you come and hang out with us? Let's go. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel right. I think I'm going to stay home. Oh, come on. It'll be fun. No, I don't think so. So I went to bed. I stayed home, went to bed. Next morning, I got up and had a phone call. A group of buddies of mine, one was a diabetic, and they were driving home from all night at the bar, and he blacked out. He was driving. He missed the corner. He wrecked the car, and he threw him out the back windshield. And I got to thinking about it later in life. If I was in that car, I'd have probably been in the back seat in the middle. I'd have been dead. Luckily, all of them survived. But if I would have been with them that night, I'd have probably been the casualty. And it's funny, I didn't think about it till now, and then going back to the story about coming to this church, that was the Holy Spirit, which I didn't know, was telling me, don't go. Stay home. Stay home. And the same thing as when I was driving by here. You're going to church there. You're going to church there. Luckily, I obeyed. Luckily, I obeyed. So, I think that's it. I think for right now, that's all I have. Like I said, I'll take these notes and throw them right in the garbage because they didn't help at all. But I'm really grateful for, one, Miss Sally and Pastor Larry for this church, and all you, Terry and Brandy and Pastor David and Brittany and Jeremy and Rusty, and I'm just thankful for the whole Breakforth Bible Church family, because without you guys, I don't know, I might have made it. I might have turned back, but I wouldn't know the things that I know now, like, without this church. I mean, if you guys are looking for a church, please come. And you're going to learn so much, and they're so welcoming, and then, they're a family. That's what I love about this place, is it's you guys are all my church family, and I'm so grateful to do life with you guys, and to grow and learn with you guys. And trust me, I got a lot of growing to do. But so, yeah, I appreciate everybody. If there's anybody in here that doesn't know Jesus, it's easy. All you got to do is cry out and say, just, Heavenly Father, I just love you, and Jesus, I love you for everything you've done for buying me back, and I just make you Lord. Just make him Lord of your life right now. Don't wait. Tomorrow's not promised. It all could be, it could all be gone tomorrow, or you might not wake up. And if you don't do it now, there's no more second chances. Your second chance is now. So I encourage you guys to do it. So that's all I got. Anybody?
Thank you. Well, that was excellent, wasn't it? Yeah. Amen. Well, we'll dismiss and see you on Sunday. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for this service. Break Forth Bible Church is one church in 6 locations. To watch or listen to other messages from Break Forth Bible Church, please visit our website or the Break Forth app.